put our low-hanging clouds. Now, if you've ever been up in the high country, you'll notice, and I lived up in New Mexico, way up in the mountains near Angel Fire. Beautiful place. But every day, you would see off in the distance above tree level, you would see the low-hanging clouds. And they would just come through every day. You see little rain showers, just phenomenal. And up in the Grand Tetons, if you ever go up there, the mountains change every 5 minutes because the clouds are moving in and out. You get sun hitting them, different colors, little rain showers, snow showers. And they're so high up there, the atmosphere is constantly changing. So when you go up and photograph it, within about an hour, you can have 100 different photographs. Really cool. So anyway, let's get up here and we're going to take our number 4 bristle brush, take a little bit of white, into our dirty palette, thin it down slightly. I want to put just a smidgen. I just want to gray. So if you've got some gray in your palette, just to kill it, maybe a little blue if that's all you have, and touch of water. All right, now I'm going to test this color. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. I don't think I do. It's a little bit too warm. I want to cool that off. So let's wipe that out. Let's go back to this. Keep your gesso. Go over here. I'm going to take just that plus only the blue. There we go. Now, of course, that's too blue and too dark. But I want a cooler cloud. I don't want a real warm cloud in this one. So let's go to the white. So it's almost a pure white. It's just slightly tinted. Now remember, there's a difference between a tint and a color. A tint is when you just take a color, specifically white, and you only slightly change its hue. A color is when you make another color by mixing another color with it, creating a whole new color. You got like yellow, you add orange to it, you can create yellow-orange. You can add some other color to some other color, and you create another version of something. Here, it's just a tint. That's better. All right, now what I want you to do is wipe most of the paint off your brush. Overhand hold. Now I want you to scrub like this. Nice, soft, wispy, low-hanging clouds coming through. I usually kind of make them come this direction, off the canvas. So you know the wind's kind of blowing across here. And roll in there, see how cool that looks. Maybe some right through here. You're not after a lot of major clouds. You just want to get this little bit of a movement of the clouds going across here. Put a little right in through here. See, this is called dry brush blending. This is the technique acrylic users, use to get blend. So you don't have, like with the oil paint, you have the wet on wet technique works good. But here you don't have that. You can have it, and if you remember last week when we blocked this in, we blocked in this mountain, and all this mist all at the same time, simultaneously. So that's called wet on wet blending. And that is the same technique you use for oil painting. Okay, see how cool those little clouds would come to there? That's all I want for now. I'm not saying I won't add some more later, but I think that's it. Now this area right here, see the spot right there? We're going to make a little brighter mist or fog between the layers. Now this is where you start creating even more depth in this page. So you go back to the same area where you just mixed the clouds. Put a teeny touch of purple. And a little teeny touch of ultramarine blue. And I said to myself, a teeny too much, and I didn't. A little more white there. Alright, we'll take it off and move this before I paint on it. And we'll roll, takes you right through here. Take your brush and roll this mist a little brighter just on the back side of this layer of mountain. That's very similar to painting the clouds, except that what I'm doing is forming the shape of this mountain better, plus it creates a little more depth. Separates this mountain from this mountain. And that's part of the challenge and part of the fun. Roll your brush. Now here's the key to this. Push. See, I'm using the whole side of the brush. See that whole side right there? That gives me more volume of hair, hits the edge of the brush, creates a better blend. And see, I'm working this way up in here. Over here. The atmosphere was developing. Now we can highlight this mountain. Take this brush, rinse it out a little bit, come back down here. A little bit of white, a little touch of orange. Thin it down. Wipe it off. Okay. Now, just like we did with the other mountain, this one could be just a little oranger because it's a little closer. Well, this is some of the study or that lesson in creating that kind of a deal. Now, got to be careful here. Remember, we're after suggestions. We're not after a major influential mountain necessarily. Although, I have to say this, it is a little closer. So you can go to get just a little more going on here. See, we just want to get enough to separate it, really separate it. And you can make a little bigger mass of light right there. It kind of comes down. Well, we're just doing is wiping my brush off a little bit because sometimes you get a little too much paint on it, kind of bugs you. You can take your finger to feather something a little bit. I like this little bit of a valley right in there. Yeah, I think I want to leave that for now. These are little caps. I like this little spot right there, like there's a little top right there, like a little plateau or a mesa-like thing. Okay, I'm going to leave this set for the moment. Yeah, I think that's good. I just want a little detail there, just enough so you can see that. So when your bear's here, you'll see the mountain right behind you. Now this area right there, I can see a waterfall there, a small one. So let's go to our number 2 bristle brush. Rinse it out. Really good. And go back down here to your white. Just take the same area and this bluish tint, lighten it just a tad. Now remember, this is a very distant thing. It's not a major waterfall, folks. We've done a lot of those in our classes over the years. Now just put a little tap of this light right there like this. Okay, I've done that. And take your brush and you pull it over. And kind of blur it down like that. Can you see that developing? Who knows where this is? Maybe this is way back there in the, you have a double one. If you want to put a little on this side too, you could do that. And you pull it down. Maybe it gets the edge of this little rock right here where we know there's going to be a rock, and jumps on down. Then it just kind of disappears into the mist. Can you see how I'm just gently skimming the surface? Folks, this is a very, very delicate operation right here. It doesn't seem like it, but if you get this too hard, I promise you, your waterfall will get so opaque and white and chalky looking. All you want to do when your viewer looks at this, wow, there's a distant waterfall way back there. And that makes it really neat. Now it gets a little more challenging. I'm going to take my number 4 sable brush now, the flat one. We do have a round one. And I'm going to put a couple of distant pine trees back there just to identify that area. So you go over here and take a little bit of purple, maybe a smidgen of green, and we make sort of a grayish tint. This is probably not it. I'm going to test it here. Yeah, it needs to be cooler than that. I knew better. That needs to be distance. And remember the rule: distance, cool, forward, warm. Well, if you get that too cold, it won't work. And yeah, even though they're green pine trees, in the distance, they're going to appear not green. They're not going to appear like in their full color. Okay, that's better. But I'm not sure that's bright enough or dark enough. Let's see. Remember, your acrylic's dry, a little darker. You can see it there, but let's give it a second here. I'm going to put a little more blue in that. Pick up a little water off one of your brushes there so you don't get too much. All right, let's hit that again. It's not too far off. There we go. I've got it now. What I want you to do is just make some little tips or some little suggestions of pine trees back here. All on the edge. Now this will help identify and close in this little waterfall. I've always been a fan of waterfalls. I can paint waterfalls all day long. They sell good if you're in the selling your work. They're fun to paint. You just make a little line and just make a little swish. And maybe some over here. This is probably just above just at the base of the tree line. You know, when you get so high up in a mountain scene, you don't want to get trees because they can't grow in the atmosphere when the air gets so thin. Believe me, we've been up there hiking, backpacking for days. And I'll tell you what, it's tough when you can't catch your breath. And you can only walk, just take short steps, move real slow, but it's still fun. And I'm going to come over here. I'm putting them all along this ridge, just so you'll know. The plan is to get enough that it creates a little bit of a setting back here for the waterfall. See how nice that looks back there? That's cool looking. It just got its own little setting. I think it's neat. Now this little ridge right here, you probably can have a one or two, so let's go ahead and put one or two there. Make it maybe just a little darker. And put a little bit of, I put a little green in there, but the purple needs to go in there too. Yeah. Remember, everything you do in painting is all about the suggestion. We so often still have a tendency to try to make things look photographic or just like you see it. Hey, look, I'm going to say this. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's why it's called art. It's subjective, okay? No one can tell you. I can't tell you what to paint, how to paint it, when to paint it, or what it should look like. It doesn't matter. You can take paint and squirt it on with a squirt gun, and it's still called art. That's up to you. All I'm saying, if you choose to go this route with these fine art techniques, there are specific things that you do to achieve these results. And sometimes we don't think about it when we get in trouble. So that's my job. I hope to give you guys good information. Now you can put as many pine trees as you're comfortable with back here. Just be careful. I'll put one more, I think, right there. And that's not showing up, so let's just not worry about it. But I think that's pretty good for the moment. Now we're going to let that set. Well, that's setting. Our next job is to put some trees behind this ridge that let you know that there's another something right here which adds even more depth to the painting. So now we go back to the number 4 bristle brush. Go back in the same area, take a little bit of purple and green. Now you can get a little stronger in your color tones. Green and purple will be your key. Of course, the white's your value changer. I like to call it the great detective because it actually helps you see color when you put a little bit in something that's dense. I don't know if this is it yet, folks, but let's find out. I want to look at that for a second. I think I'm going to make it just a little more purple and a little blue in that. Now, green is a tough color to work with. If you get your pine trees too green, you won't like it. There we go. Yeah, it's a darker green. I don't know if you can see it too well on your monitor, but anyway, this is what you want here. These are just tips of trees sticking out. These are not the whole tree, so don't try to make it look that way. Now we may come in here later and roll a little fog and mist, but these are just the tips of trees sticking up behind. And I want it to be very congested here, especially on this side over here. Down your eye stopper. So you just put a little tap and then you take your brush and pull it sideways. And you're just trying to fool me. Let me know these are your trees. You don't need a lot of effort. Maybe skip the space so it's a little bit of interesting composition. And a tip or two here. Of course, your bear's going to be standing right in this area right here. Now, can you already see how this gray value against this light value now pushes these values way on back there? So look, see, this is what I mentioned last week. We may be adding values that we didn't have. This is value 1, 2, 3. Now we got value 4, value 5. Then when you come forward, you'll have one more value. So this painting is going to end up with about 6 value changes based on just adding other objects in the appropriate areas. So that's what makes it kind of fascinating. All right. Now, that being done, we need to do a little bit of construction work on our cliff. Go back to your number 2 bristle brush, and we'll take a little bit of blue and brown. Now, we don't want to lose this high country atmosphere. We want to get enough vegetation that it looks good, but at the same time, we want to not lose what we came here to paint. So I'm going to put, now these are the little clips, kind of like the front side here. You can have some small ones on the back side. So what I'm going to do here is put these little things up there like that. See these little cracks coming back in. Now there's no sense in us doing a ton of work on this until we find out exactly where we're going to lay out our bear between sessions, this session and our next session. I will do that, folks. I'll go ahead and plan that so I'll know, because I really am not 100% sure yet. See, if you want to go in there and get some little darker spots back in here to create some little cracks, this would be a time to do that. I like those in there. And I want to get this a little darker here, because remember last week that was a little wet, so it kept lightening on us. And even though the sun's coming this direction, we're probably going to highlight this anyway. You still need that little darker base. Okay, I think we're okay on this for now. Now let's switch to now we get a smaller chisel edge brush here. Let's go to the number, the 2 is too small. How about a 4 or a 6? And I got to find it here. I've got them all wrapped up. And most of you know that I like this little trick on your brushes, where you take your brushes and put them in a plastic bag. I know a lot of you, it's not because I'm lazy, because I'm really not, I work all the time. But when you're in the heat of battle and you're painting and you're tired, you're in a hurry because you got to get to do something else, maybe you're going to paint the next day. Well, look, rinse them out, get the paint out, of course, and wet them, stick them in your bag. And just wrap them up in a little plastic bag, and they'll be fine for a day or two. And if you keep them in there for extended periods of time and they're really saturated in water, you could cause problems for your brushes. I never have any problem, but a lot of people that have written said, well, I did that, and all the paint's spilling off the handle or whatever. I want to clear the air on that one, because that is caused by too much moisture that you've allowed to sit in the bag and then it gets down and breaks down the paint, the bonding to the surface. So you got to keep an eye on those kind of things. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to highlight the front side of these clips with the number. This is the 6 chisel edge brush. So take the white, a little touch of orange, and here, thin it down, a little bit of gray, so that it's not just too strong. Here. Okay, now see, every time you have a little pull out here, that's where you're going to see the edge. Now, see, this is why I like this painting. It's not just about the drizzly bear, it's also about all of these things. You pull in like this, take your finger, blur just a little bit. See how you create the edge of the clip that way? I like to take my finger and blur it just a little. Don't get in the habit, though, I'm going to warn you in advance of blending too much with your finger, because I'll guarantee you your paints will get real smudgy and all your rocks will look like, baked potatoes. So you got to be a little careful. Now, there's this big one right here, and it comes out here. So let's identify it, and we'll have to come back and cap it better later. But this is how you get the front on it. So you pull back in. I'm going to put a little more of a gray tint in there, just to change the color some, so it's not just all that light color. And so you can still come in here and put see the little value changes within. This is a fascinating thing to do, to turn what you thought was a mess into something that really looks neat. Just by pulling sideways, blurring a little bit, see how the edges of your clips are in place? Voila, really cool. Now you can put a little better cap. Well, look, we better do the front ones too, I guess, a little bit. Even though they may end up getting covered with some brush, I don't know yet. And we'll cap these now a little bit more effectively. And what I mean by that is we're going to make this top a little bit better. So let's go to the number 6 bristle brush. Go down here, back to the orange and white. Thin it down on the gray side. Get your brush out. Okay, now this one especially needs a little better capping. Wipe some of that off. So we can kind of see the edge of the painting these clips are really fun, but they're hard. I have a lot of students try to do these, and they end up looking like just little, you stuck something flat on top of it. You've got to be kind of careful. So when you do this, see, I pull over so it looks like it's bending over just a little bit. And I'm kind of scrubbing, kind of making the edges a little softer. And we're not after a phenomenal amount of detail here, because I'm still not sure what we're going to do with this. But I'm just trying to get the caps on. Then we can decide if we want brush and sticks and logs and all that kind of thing in it. But see, that gives it just a little better look to the top. And this is what I'm challenging you to do between now and our next session, because we're about to run out of time as usual. And next week what we're going to do is we'll finish some intermediate, minor atmospheric things, details. Then I'll probably have my bear sketched in so that you all can see where it's going to go. And then you can get yours in there. We'll probably get everything else finally underpainted. And on the last session, it'll be about a 4-session painting, we'll put all the little details to give this painting its dimensional effect and all the wonderful, exciting things. So I hope you're enjoying this. This has been a blast for me so far. Let's do a little more capping here. Once again, because the bear is going to stand here, there's no sense, folks, in going to the extreme on your caps. Although it'd probably be a good idea back here where these pine trees are to cap in front of them. So see, it looks like they're actually behind that cliff. That's really important. I'm going to raise that up a little bit because I want them to look like they're kind of going on the back side of that. And just do a little bit of chunky work here. down here, down here. Well, that'll be your job between now and our next session is to get your cliff capped, get your pine trees in, get your waterfall in, and be ready to start the intermediate details to create this beautiful painting, King of His Domain. And if you've ever seen one of these grizzly bears in person, and I have, you'll see why I named it that. They are absolutely awesome. Well, folks, as usual, we're going to have to go. I hope you've enjoyed this program. Can't wait to get here next week and see what we're going to do next. So God bless you. Stay inspired. Keep painting. And I promise I'm going to see you right here real soon on another session of Paint This with Jerry Yarnell right here at the Yarnell School for Fine Art.
Episodes of Paint This with Jerry Yarnell are available at yarnellschool.com.